Ohio government actions for January 9, 2026 are only partially documented in publicly available summaries. Most detailed official postings group that date into week in review, style coverage rather than a standalone daily log. 2. Based on available sources, what can be reliably described for 0109-2026 is mostly at the level of weekly legislative and agency activity that includes that date, plus implementation of recently enacted 2026 measures. Below is an in-depth narrative organized by category, restricted to actions that can be clearly tied to early January 2026, and that would have been operative or in focus on January 9, 2026. Major government ACTIONS, statewide policy context around 0109-2026. 1. Property tax overhaul taking effect in 2026 and under active implementation monitoring. Governor Mike DeWine had recently signed a multi-bill property tax overhaul package, House Bills 124, 129, 186, 309, and 335, described as the largest overhaul to Ohio's property tax system in decades, with implementation beginning in 2026, 3-4. The package creates inflation cap credits that limit how much increases in property values can automatically raise tax bills in communities where school districts are at the 20 mil floor 4. About 80% of Ohio communities are currently at that 20 mil floor, meaning the caps are expected to apply broadly and, according to the administration and legislative leaders, save property owners an estimated billions of dollars over 3 years, while reducing future revenue growth for schools and local governments. 4. The legislation also sets aside $410 in one-time funding for schools to temporarily offset losses tied to the new caps. 4. Changes how the 20 mil floor is calculated by eliminating some exemptions so more districts rise above that floor, which is intended to reduce future automatic tax. Grants County Budget Commission's greater authority to unilaterally reduce certain voter-approved tax levies. 4. As of the week ending January 9, 2026, state policymaking circles, including the Ohio Manufacturers Association, OMA, were already treating this package as a central 2026 policy environment factor and signaling that lawmakers would likely monitor implementation and consider technical fixes as needed when the General Assembly reconvened later in the month. 3. While the actual signing of these bills occurred earlier, the legal and administrative effects and the planning by state agencies, local governments, and stakeholders around implementation were among the most consequential ongoing government actions influencing Ohio policy on and around January 9, 2026. 3-4. 2. 2026 State House policy agenda being readied. For 2026, major policy decisions at the Ohio State House were being framed around property tax implementation, see above. Workforce policy including potential action on youth employment rules and efforts to strengthen the talent pipeline for in-demand manufacturing. Energy policy with manufacturers concerned certain proposals might increase costs or undermine reliability if not carefully designed. 3. The OMA highlighted that policies debated in this session would directly affect manufacturers' costs and competitiveness and it was engaging with the DeWine administration and the General Assembly through policy. This agenda-setting activity, while not tied to a specific bill passed on January 9, 2026, represents coordinated government stakeholder work defining legislative priorities that would have been underway during that week. Legislative ACTIVITIES, covering the week ending 0109-2026. Detailed floor schedules and committee logs for January 9, 2026 are not fully captured in the limited search results, but the Ohio Society of CPAs, Week in Review, January 11, 2026, identifies several areas of state legislative activity during the week ending January 9. 2. The article summarizes Ohio's legislative news for the week ending Jan. 9, 2026, which necessarily includes actions on or immediately around that. From that summary, which is sector-oriented rather than a bill-by-bill docket, it notes that the Ohio Department of Agriculture, ODAG, recently took actions or issued items relevant enough to be included in the legislative news. While the snippet does not show the full details, this implies ongoing regulatory or program decisions at ODAG that intersect with legislative oversight and policy debates. Legislative or budget-related discussions touching on agriculture policy in early January 2026, too. The structure of this week in review suggests parallel coverage of other sectors, often including taxation, education, workforce, or regulatory developments, but the specific text beyond the agriculture lead-in is not visible in the snippet, so details of particular bill numbers, committee hearings, or amendments for January 9, 2026 cannot be confirmed from the provided search. Given that the General Assembly was noted in other reporting as beginning its 2026 work later this month, some of the week ending Jan 9 activity was likely preparatory, hearings scheduled, draft legislation circulated, caucus strategy meetings, and stakeholder briefings, rather than major floor votes. 3. Enforcement and regulatory (ACTONS). The available search results do not provide direct, dated documentation of specific ** enforcement actions *, such as Attorney General lawsuits, Ohio EPA orders, Public Utilities Commission enforcement, or Department of Commerce sanctions that can be definitively tied to January 9, 2026. Within the week in review format, agency actions are described only at a high level, too. Based on what is visible, agriculture/ODAG. The Ohio Department of Agriculture is explicitly referenced in the legislative news summary for the week ending January 9, 2026, indicating some combination of regulatory decisions, program announcements, or rule work that was important enough to feature. 2. However, the snippet does not disclose the specific rule numbers or orders, the exact date of issuance, whether they were enforcement-oriented, e.g., compliance orders, penalties, versus programmatic, e.g., grant programs, regulatory updates. * Tax administration. The property tax overhaul requires substantial administrative and interpretive work by state and local tax authorities, including the Department of Taxation and county budget commissions. But the search results do not show discrete January 9 enforcement events. Only the structure of the new law and its anticipated impact. 3-4. Without further official dockets or press releases, specifically dated 01/09/2026. Any attempt to list concrete enforcement cases for that date would be speculative and not grounded in the available sources. Public events and official COMMUNICATIONS. The search results show that, in the days immediately preceding January 9, 2026, and for that week, Governor's Office/State House level communication *. The Governor's signing of the 5-bill property tax package had been held in his ceremonial State House office, with messaging that it would save taxpayers billions and cap tax-driven increases tied to valuation spikes. 4. These actions were being publicly discussed in early January 2026 as a key victory for legislative Republicans and a central frame for 2026 fiscal policy. 4. Stakeholder government forums *. The Ohio Manufacturers Association publicly outlined how 2026 State House decisions on property tax, workforce, and energy would affect manufacturers, and called on members to stay engaged through ** OMA policy committees as the legislative session. While not a government-run event, this reflects active, organized interaction with state policymakers around that period, informing the agenda that would shape formal government actions. Professional and advocacy summaries *. The Ohio Society of CPAs, January 11, 2026, week in review, covering up to January 9, served as a key * communication outlet *, summarizing legislative and agency developments for the business and accounting community. 2. LIMITATIONS of available information for the specific date, 01/09/2026. There is no single, comprehensive, official daily log of all Ohio government actions for January 9, 2026 in the provided search results. The sources that do exist, Ohio Society of CPAs Weekly Summary, OMA's State House Preview, and reporting on DeWine's property tax package, allow us to describe the major laws that were newly effective or in preparation in early 2026. 3-4. Identify that the week ending January 9 included notable agriculture-related agency and legislative developments. 2. Clarify the central policy themes, property tax reform, workforce, energy, manufacturing competitiveness, that were active in the State House environment at that time. 3. However, they do not list every bill introduced, amended, or voted on specifically on January 9, 2026, every enforcement action taken by state agencies on that date, a complete calendar of public hearings, press conferences, or local-level government events across the state. Because of these gaps, this report focuses on verifiable high-impact state-level actions and policy conditions that were operative on or directly tied to January 9, 2026, rather than claiming an exhaustive minute-by-minute account.